When somebody that you love comes at you, bam, and hits you really hard, they're coming at you with a really difficult criticism and they're outlining it, just pouring it on, it feels like the crazy person saying, "Where's the gun?" They are coming at you with a weapon and they're hurting you. Hey, you want to know how not to be defensive in a relationship? I do too. I'm going to watch this video on YouTube I've never seen before and react to what they say. Hope they have good advice. If they don't, I'm going to let you know that I don't think it is good, but probably it'll be good because my crew finds me cool stuff. Let's check it out.
We often operate in romantic life under the mistaken view, unconsciously imported from law courts and school debating traditions, that the person who is right or has the stronger case should legitimately win any argument. But this is fundamentally to misunderstand what the point of relationships might be. It is not to defeat an opponent. There are no prizes for winning other than self-satisfied loneliness. The point is more to try to help each other to evolve into the best versions of ourselves.
This is interesting. It's a great point that they make. They're saying in a relationship, it is not the same as a debate or defending yourself in court, right? Where you're trying to win the argument. What you're trying to do is solve a problem. If you're in a relationship with somebody, your goal isn't to show them I'm right and you're wrong. Your goal is, hey, we're in a disagreement, we're having a discussion about something. What's the solution that'll make this all better for us? That changes the whole nature of the conversation, doesn't it? That's a great mindset switch, I think.
There's a kind of argument that erupts when one partner has a largely correct insight into the problems of their partner. With a stern, masterful, and almost gleeful tone, they may declare, "You've been drinking too much," or "You hogged the conversation at the party," or "You're always boasting," or "You don't take enough responsibility," or "You waste far too much time online," or "You never take enough exercise." The insight is maybe not wrong. That is what's so tricky. The critic is correct, but they are unable to win because there are no prizes in love for correctly discerning the flaws of our partners. Indeed, paradoxically, by attacking a partner with clinical energy, we reduce our chances of ever reaching the real goal, the evolution of...
Yeah, so they talk about this mindset, they continue on, right? If you come at a person that you're in a relationship with, and even if you're correct in your criticism of them, the way you approach that criticism can really derail the whole conversation. If you come in saying, "Hey, you drink too much," or "You're not taking enough accountability," these type of things, you're setting them up to react defensively, to reject you, to step outside and be like, whoa, stop. You're creating an argument from the outset. And that's never your goal. You're not trying to win something here. You're not trying to be right. That is not the goal, right? The goal is you want to make the relationship better. So how do you go about doing that? This is a nice setup. I'm quite interested in it.
Evolution of the person we have to live with. When we are on the receiving end of a difficult insight into our failings, what makes us bristle and deny everything isn't generally the accusation itself. We know our flaws all too well. It's the surrounding atmosphere. We know the other person is right. We just can't bear to take their criticism on board, given how severely it's been delivered. So we start to deny everything.
Yeah, honestly, this whole thing reminds me of a relationship I was in. And the girl I was with, she would say stuff to me when she was offering me critical feedback. She'd be like, "Well, I'm not even giving you half of what I have. I have lists of things that you still haven't done. And I'm waiting for you to accomplish this stuff first before I even get to that other stuff. And you can't even do this." And I'd just be like, oh my gosh, like I'm trying my hardest here. I'm doing the best I can. And you have a list that I haven't even seen yet? And then she'd say, "Well, what do you want out of me?" That was her way of offering me, I suppose, a way of giving her feedback that was hard. And I'd be like, I'd like you to just like me. That would be great if you could just like me, right? I didn't have this monster list and it would just crush me. I'd think, why even try? I'm working my butt off and I'm like on the tip of the iceberg You've got a litany of things that I got to do better at, right? This is the way often we approach people in a relationship and be like, look, I've got all these things. And when you come at it from a place of that mindset, you overwhelm people. And then you're not capable of hearing. In fact, in behavioral science, they say that if you want a credit, you want an emotional credit with somebody so that they'll do something for you, what you do is you offer them, the minimum is 4 positive pieces of feedback to every 1 criticism. That'll give you balance. That's an even balance. You want a credit so they're going to have the energy to really put in the effort. You give them 5 positives to every single critical thing, which means sometimes you got to bite your tongue. And those good positive pieces of feedback, they must be real. You can't make them up. They got to be real things. So let's see what he says.
So we start to deny everything, not because the accusations are wrong, but because we're terrified. The light of truth is shining too brightly. The fear is that if we admitted our failings, we would be crushed, shown up as worthless, required to attempt an arduous, miserable process of change without requisite sympathy, and that unless and until we reform ourselves, we would have no claim on the affections or forgiveness of the other. That's why we insist that we do actually do enough exercise, that we have been working very hard, and that we've never wasted any time on any embarrassing websites. We feel so burdened with shame and guilt already, a lover's further upbraiding feels impossible to listen to. There's too much pre-existing fragility in our psyches for us to admit to another difficult insight into what's wrong with us. The irony of the defensive argument is that it is the overly confrontational pursuit of truth that makes the truth impossible to reach. In the
Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is a mindset thing. Like he goes right in. He doesn't give the numbers, but he goes right into the idea, the psyche behind why you would give 5 reasons that are positive to every negative. Because what happens is when you're faced with overwhelming criticism or an approach that is really hard from somebody that you love, your shame is ignited. And shame is something in our culture that when we fail and face, it makes us feel isolated and alone and unseen. And it makes us incapable of really self-reflecting. We hide, we deny, we lie, right? And so we're unable to face the reality of what we're doing because we're so full of fear and overwhelm, we can't deal with the situation at hand. And that's exactly what he describes. And the way to combat that is the 5 positives to 1 criticism.
In the philosophy of lying, there is a central historical example of what is termed the just lie, outlined by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. If a crazed person comes to us and asks, "Where's the axe?" we're entitled to lie and say, "We don't know," because we understand that were we to tell them the truth, they'd probably use the tool to do something horrendous to us. That is, we can reasonably tell a lie when our life is in danger. In a couple, our partner may not literally be searching for an axe when they ask us an inquisitorial question, but psychologically, this is precisely how we might experience them.
He puts it in a really wonderful, this exact thing. I love how he describes it. He says, Plato has discussed this idea of a just lie. And a just lie is if a crazy person comes to you and says, "Where's the axe?" In American society today, we'd say the person comes and says, "Where's the gun?" And you know they're crazy. You say, "I don't know where the gun is. I don't know where the axe is." And when you say that, you may know, but you're allowed to lie because you know they're going to use that as a weapon to hurt someone. And in our own personal lives, when somebody that you love comes at you, bam, and hits you really hard, they're coming at you with a really difficult criticism and they're outlining it, just pouring it on, it feels like the crazy person saying, "Where's the gun?" They are coming at you with a weapon and they're hurting you. And so you feel justified in lying about the fact that, maybe you are doing some of the things that they're saying, but it's so overwhelming, you can't take it because it's too painful. And so how you approach someone with critical feedback is so crucial in any relationship, business, work, but particularly with those that you want to remain close with, those that you love. You've really, really got to move carefully with these kind of situations.
Which makes it at least a little understandable if we say we simply don't know what they're talking about. It may feel unfair to ask an accuser to take responsibility for our vulnerability, but if they want to help their relationship, they will need to make it abundantly clear that they won't ever use the truth, if it's acknowledged, as a weapon. What's so sad is how easily we, as the accused, might, if only the circumstances were more sympathetic, confess to everything. We would in fact love to unburden ourselves and admit to all that's broken and wounded in us. The answer is to try and create a situation where both partners accept that they are flawed, but not, on this basis, ever beyond a need for love and kindness, where the mutual need for evolution is taken as a given, and where every well-considered critique...
Love what he says. You need to accept that the flaw, no matter what it is, never outweighs the need for love and kindness, right? And that is really what it's about. And when I'm doing my best parenting, when I've been at my best as a dad, I have seen my children utterly fail or do something just downright nasty, right? Because they're kids and they do something impulsive. And rather than just berate them, sit down with them, calm them, because when they're acting this way, they are not acting in their best space. And I know who they are. They're my kid. I know this is a good person. And if I can dial into that and sit with them and say, hey, I love you. You're great. And I think you've got so much capacity to do so much good. And I want to help you to even be better. Now you've got them on your side, right? You're coming at them with love. You're coming at them with an approach that is like, and then you can say, what's going on? Like, why are you feeling so upset? Or whatever the situation is, you can delve into them. And he says in here, really, if you can provide that kind of safety in that space, this is a person just dying to unload. Because typically we all personally know where we have shortcomings, where we fail. But we don't feel safe to release that because we worry about the social rejection that may come, particularly if you come from a damaged background where things like that were used against you. So you provide that safety net for the person, and as you provide that safety net and show them it's okay, they now are feeling good enough that they can say, I can be authentic with you, I can get help, and we can work on this together. It becomes a team effort instead of, you need to do this, you're doing horrible stuff, I can't believe you, and getting that separation, right? So beautifully outlined. What a great video on how not to be defensive in a relationship, right? If you like that video, stick around. I got another one coming up where I react to the crazy hot scale. It's a good one. It's a funny scale. You'd like to check it out. I'm James Burnham. Thanks for joining me.